The alarm blared through the command center as the massive Zorasian fleet emerged from the void, their vessels dark and menacing against the backdrop of Earth. Jack Reynolds stood at the bridge, his eyes narrowing as he took in the sight. The seasoned commander had faced countless alien threats, but this invasion felt different, more calculated and sinister. "Commander Reynolds," a young officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the Zorasian flagship." Jack nodded, and the central screen flickered to life, revealing the imposing figure of High Commander Valgar. The alien leader's eyes glinted with a cruel intelligence as he spoke. "Humans, surrender now and avoid unnecessary suffering," Valgar declared. "You have resisted other invaders, but you will find the Zoraxians far less forgiving." Jack's jaw tightened. "We don't bow to tyrants," he responded firmly. "If you think we'll just roll over, you're sorely mistaken." Valgar's lips curled into a sneer. "So be it. Prepare to witness the downfall of your world." The screen went dark, and Jack turned to his crew. "Prepare for battle," he commanded. "Let's show them what humanity is made of." As the defense fleet scrambled to action, Jack's thoughts raced. He knew their conventional tactics wouldn't be enough. The Zoraxians were more technologically advanced and had the numbers to overwhelm Earth's defenses. They needed an edge. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a brilliant scientist from Canada, approached Jack. "Commander, I think we can use their technology against them," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos. "I've been working on a project that might just give us the advantage we need." Jack looked at her, intrigued. "What do you have in mind?" Sarah quickly explained her plan to hack into the Zorasian fleet's systems. If successful, they could disable their most powerful weapons and turn the tide of the battle. It was risky, but they had no other options. "Do it," Jack said decisively. "I'll rally the troops and keep them busy while you work." The first clash between the Earth Defense Fleet and the Zorasian invaders was intense. Ships darted through space, exchanging barrages of laser fire. Jack's strategic brilliance shone as he directed his forces, exploiting weaknesses in the enemy's formation. Despite their efforts, the Zoraxians were relentless. Jack's ship shuddered under a direct hit, and alarms blared as damage reports flooded in. He refused to give in to despair, focusing instead on buying Sarah the time she needed. On the ground, resistance movements sprang into action. Civilians and soldiers alike prepared to defend their homes. Humanity's spirit, its unbreakable will to survive, became their greatest weapon. Back on the ship, Sarah and her team worked frantically, tapping into the Zorasian network. The alien technology was sophisticated, but Sarah's expertise and determination pushed them forward. She knew the stakes couldn't be higher. "Commander," Sarah's voice crackled over the intercom. "We're in. I'm initiating the hack now." Jack felt a surge of hope. "Good work, Sarah. Hold on just a little longer." The tide of battle began to shift. Zorasian ships faltered as their systems were compromised. The Earth fleet pressed the advantage, rallying under Jack's command. The alien invaders, once so confident, found themselves on the defensive. Valgar's enraged face appeared on the screen again. "You meddling humans think you can outsmart us?" he snarled. "You've only delayed the inevitable." "Maybe," Jack replied calmly. "But it's enough for now." Sarah's hack continued to wreak havoc on the Zorasian fleet. Ships lost power, weapons systems went offline, and their formations crumbled. The defense forces of Earth seized the opportunity, pushing the invaders back. As the Zorasian flagship struggled to regain control, Jack knew they couldn't afford to let up. "All units, focus fire on the flagship," he ordered. "We end this now." The combined might of Earth's fleet converged on Valgar's ship. Explosions rocked the alien vessel, and it began to break apart under the relentless assault. The remaining Zorasian ships, leaderless and disorganized, started to retreat. Valgar's final transmission was a mix of anger and grudging respect. "You've won this battle, humans. But we will return, and next time, you won't be so fortunate." The screen went dark, and Jack allowed himself a moment of relief. They had repelled the invaders, but he knew this was just one battle in a larger war. Turning to his crew, He gave a nod of acknowledgement for their bravery and resilience. Sarah approached, her face flushed with victory. "We did it, Jack," she said, a smile breaking through her exhaustion. He nodded, a rare smile tugging at his lips. "Yes, we did. But we need to stay vigilant. This isn't over." As the defense fleet regrouped and the people of Earth celebrated their hard-won victory, Jack and Sarah stood side by side, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The command center buzzed with focused energy as Jack Reynolds surveyed the damage reports. The Zorasian fleet had retreated, but everyone knew it was only a temporary reprieve. Jack's eyes fell on Dr. Sarah Mitchell, who was still at her console, analyzing data from the recent battle. "Sarah, what's our next move?" Jack asked, his voice steady despite the weariness in his eyes. "We've managed to hack into their systems once," Sarah replied, not looking up from her screen. "But we need a more permanent solution. We can't keep fighting them ship to ship. We need to take out their command structure." Jack nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. "How do we do that?" Sarah finally looked up, her expression determined. "We infiltrate their fleet. We plant a virus that will disable their weapons and communications. It's risky, but it's our best shot." As the reality of their mission sank in, Jack and Sarah began assembling a team. They needed the best and the brightest, and time was of the essence. Jack called in favors and pulled strings, soon gathering a diverse group of specialists from around the world. Jason Cole, a skilled hacker with a shady past, joined them reluctantly. His eyes darted around the room, taking in the advanced technology and the seriousness of the mission. Despite his initial hesitation, Jack sensed a potential ally in him, albeit a cautious one. "Cole, we need your expertise to get into their systems undetected," Jack said, meeting his gaze directly. "Can we count on you?" Jason smirked, his confidence masking a deeper uncertainty. "If anyone can do it, I can. Just make sure your soldiers don't get in my way." As the team prepared for the mission, tensions ran high. Each member had their own reasons for being there, their own personal stakes. Jack watched as they worked together, a blend of military precision and innovative problem-solving. He felt a glimmer of hope, tempered by the knowledge of what lay ahead. Their first objective was to infiltrate a Zorasian cruiser, one of the smaller ships in the fleet but still heavily guarded. Using a captured Zorasian vessel, they managed to dock undetected, the crew moving with practiced efficiency. Inside the cruiser, the atmosphere was tense. The team moved silently through the corridors, their presence masked by Sarah's advanced cloaking technology. They reached the central control room, where Jason began working on the alien systems, his fingers flying over the controls. "This isn't like anything I've seen before," Jason muttered, his concentration intense. "But I think I can make it work." As Jason hacked into the system, Sarah monitored their progress, her eyes scanning the data streams. Jack stood guard, his senses heightened, ready for any sign of trouble. The minutes ticked by, each second feeling like an eternity. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared, and Zorasian soldiers stormed into the control room. A fierce battle erupted, the team using their advanced weaponry and combat skills to hold off the attackers. Jason continued working, his focus unwavering despite the chaos around him. "Almost there," Jason shouted, his voice barely audible over the din of the fight. "Just a few more seconds." With a final keystroke, Jason uploaded the virus into the Zorasian system. The lights flickered, and the ship's weapons and communications went offline. The team quickly retreated, fighting their way back to their own vessel and escaping just as reinforcements arrived. Back on their ship, Jack and Sarah breathed a collective sigh of relief. They had succeeded in their first mission, but they knew it was only the beginning of their efforts to disable the Zorasian fleet. "Good work, everyone," Jack said, addressing the team. "But we can't afford to rest. This is just the start. We need to keep pushing, keep finding ways to strike at their heart." Sarah nodded, her determination unwavering. "We've shown that we can hit them where it hurts. Now we need to figure out how to end this for good." As the team regrouped and planned their next move, the weight of their mission settled over them. Each member understood the stakes, the sacrifices required. They were a small but fierce group, united by a common purpose and ready to face whatever came next. Their journey was far from over, but for now, they had taken a crucial step forward. The fight against the Zoraxians would be long and arduous, but with every victory, they grew stronger, more resolute in their quest to protect humanity from those who sought to control it. Back on Earth, the aftermath of the battle left the planet in a state of anxious preparation. Jack Reynolds and his team, having barely survived their mission, now faced the daunting task of formulating a long-term strategy to deal with the Zorasian threat. The stakes were clear. They needed to strike at the heart of the alien command structure before another wave of attacks could begin. In the secure depths of their underground base, Jack and Dr. Sarah Mitchell pored over the intelligence gathered during their infiltration. Detailed schematics of the Zorasian fleet's command center illuminated their screens, each line and node representing a potential point of vulnerability. "We've hit them hard," Jack said, breaking the heavy silence. "But we need a plan to take down their command structure permanently. Any ideas?" Sarah leaned forward, her brow furrowed in concentration. "We could target their central command ship directly. If we can disable their leadership, the rest of the fleet might fall into disarray. It's risky, but it's our best chance." Jack nodded, appreciating her straightforward approach. "Agreed. We'll need to be surgical about this. No room for error." As they planned their next move, Jason Cole entered the room, his usual smirk replaced with a rare look of seriousness. "I've been working on a more refined version of the virus," he said, holding up a data chip. "This one should be able to infiltrate their systems more deeply and disable their defenses for good." Jack accepted the chip, his respect for the hacker growing. "Good work, Jason. You've been invaluable to this team." Jason shrugged, trying to hide his discomfort with praise. "Just doing my part. We all know what's at stake." The team gathered their equipment and prepared for the mission. The mood was tense but determined. Each member knew their role, and the weight of responsibility was shared among them. As they boarded their modified Zorasian vessel, Jack took a moment to address his crew. "We've come a long way, and we've faced impossible odds before. This mission is no different. Stay focused, watch each other's backs, and we'll get through this." The ship launched, gliding silently through space towards the heart of the Zorasian fleet. Inside, the atmosphere was charged with a sense of purpose. Jack and Sarah worked side by side, coordinating the approach while Jason and the others prepared to deploy the virus. As they neared the command ship, the tension mounted. Zorasian vessels surrounded them, their imposing presence a stark reminder of the dangers they faced. Using the cloaking technology Sarah had developed, they slipped past the outer defenses and docked with the command ship. The team moved swiftly through the alien corridors, their movements silent and precise. Jack led the way, his military training evident in every step. Sarah followed closely, her eyes scanning for any signs of detection. Jason and the others brought up the rear, ready to react at a moment's notice. They reached the central control room without incident. Jason immediately went to work, connecting his device to the Zorasian systems. The room hummed with the sound of alien technology, a reminder of the formidable foe they were up against. "Keep an eye on the entrance," Jason muttered, his focus entirely on his task. "This won't take long." Minutes ticked by, each one feeling like an hour. The team remained vigilant, weapons at the ready. Suddenly, the doors slid open, and Zorasian soldiers poured into the room. A fierce firefight erupted, the team defending their position with everything they had. Jason continued working, his fingers moving with practiced precision. "Almost there," he called out, his voice strained but determined. Jack and Sarah fought side by side, their combined skills creating a formidable defense. The Zoraxians were relentless, but the team held their ground, driven by the knowledge that their mission was critical to Earth's survival. Finally, Jason's device beeped, signaling the completion of the upload. "It's done!" he shouted, pulling the device free. "Let's get out of here!" The team made a rapid retreat, fighting their way back to their ship. The halls of the command ship echoed with the sounds of battle as they moved with coordinated precision. They reached their vessel and launched into space just as the command ship began to experience system failures. Back on board, the team watched as the Zorasian command ship faltered. Systems flickered, and ships in the fleet started to veer off course. The virus was working, spreading chaos through the enemy ranks. Jack turned to his team, a sense of hard-earned relief washing over him. "We've done it! This should buy us the time we need to fortify our defenses and plan our next steps." Sarah nodded, her exhaustion evident but overshadowed by a fierce sense of accomplishment. "It's a major blow to their command structure. They won't recover from this easily." As they made their way back to Earth, the team reflected on the mission's success and the challenges that still lay ahead. They had struck a significant blow, but the war was far from over. Each member understood the gravity of their ongoing fight, united in their resolve to protect their home and each other. Back on Earth, the mood in the command center was a mixture of relief and cautious optimism. Jack Reynolds and his team had struck a significant blow against the Zorasian fleet, but they knew their mission was far from over. They needed to consolidate their gains and prepare for the next inevitable confrontation. Jack gathered his core team in the strategy room. The walls were lined with holographic displays, each showing detailed data on the Zorasian fleet's status and the virus's impact. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, Jason Cole, and the other key members of the Resistance stood around the central table, ready to plan their next move. "We've crippled their command structure," Jack began, his voice steady but urgent. "But we need to make sure they can't regroup. We have a window of opportunity, and we need to act fast." Sarah nodded, her analytical mind already racing with possibilities. "The virus has disrupted their communications and weapon systems, but it won't last forever. We need to find and neutralize their primary power source. Without it, their entire fleet will be rendered useless." Jason leaned in, pointing to a detailed schematic on the display. "According to the data we've gathered, their main power source is a massive fusion reactor located deep within their flagship. It's heavily guarded and nearly impenetrable, but if we can take it out, they'll be dead in the water." The team set to work, developing a plan to infiltrate the flagship once more. This time, the stakes were even higher. They would need to penetrate the most secure area of the ship and destroy the reactor, all while avoiding detection and fending off Zorasian soldiers. As they prepared for the mission, the weight of their task hung over them. Each member of the team understood the risks involved, but their determination to protect Earth fueled their resolve. Jack, in particular, felt the burden of leadership more than ever. He knew that failure was not an option. The team launched their modified vessel, using the same cloaking technology that had served them well before. They navigated through the remnants of the Zorasian fleet, slipping past damaged ships and automated defenses. The closer they got to the flagship, the more intense the security became. Once they docked, the team moved with practiced efficiency. They split into two groups, one to create a diversion and the other to head straight for the reactor. Jack led the main assault team, with Sarah and Jason by his side. They navigated through the labyrinthine corridors of the flagship, avoiding patrols and automated defenses. As they approached the reactor chamber, the air grew thick with tension. The room was heavily fortified, with layers of security designed to prevent exactly what they were attempting. Jack signaled his team to hold position while Jason hacked into the control panel, bypassing the security protocols one by one. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. The Zoraxians had detected their presence, and reinforcements were on their way. Jack and his team braced for the inevitable confrontation, their weapons ready. "Jason, how much longer?" Jack shouted over the noise. "Just a few more seconds," Jason replied, his fingers flying over the controls. "Got it. We're in." The doors to the reactor chamber slid open, revealing the massive fusion reactor at the heart of the ship. The team rushed inside, planting explosive charges around the core. As they worked, Zorasian soldiers poured into the room, and a fierce battle ensued. Jack and Sarah fought side by side, their combined skills creating a formidable defense. Jason focused on setting the charges, his determination unshaken by the chaos around him. The team held their ground, knowing that their success depended on each member playing their part. Charges are set, Jason called out. We need to get out of here, now! The team made a rapid retreat, fighting their way back through the corridors. The ship shook as the charges detonated, the reactor going critical. They reached their vessel and launched just as the flagship began to tear itself apart from within. Back on Earth, the command center erupted in cheers as the news of their success came through. The Zorsian fleet was crippled, their primary power source destroyed. It was a decisive victory, but the team knew that their work was far from over. Jack stood with Sarah and Jason, watching the remnants of the Zorsian flagship burn in the distance. The fight had been hard, and the losses significant, but they had achieved what many thought impossible. We did it, Sarah said, a mixture of exhaustion and relief in her voice. We actually did it. Jack nodded, placing a hand on her shoulder. Yes, we did. But we need to stay vigilant. There's always another threat on the horizon. As they prepared for the next phase of their mission, the team felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had proven that humanity was not to be underestimated, and they would continue to fight for their planet and their future. The battle had been won, but the war for survival and freedom was ongoing. And they would face it together.